Hey, this is Sandy.
And Randy.
And we're here on AT Corner.
Being an athletic trainer comes with ups and downs, and we're here to showcase them all.
Join us as we share our world in sports medicine.
Welcome back to another episode of AT Corner.
You guys, it's here. What you've been waiting for.
What's that?
Part 2 of Off the Clock Injuries.
2.
I think it's really funny that we decided to do stories every other week instead of every week on the one time that we start to do a part 2. So
now people had to wait even longer for the stories.
So let's not make them wait any longer.
I think we should roll right into it.
Actually, let me build some more suspense.
Okay, never mind.
So, you guys, for this week, we've got wedding stories, some sporting events, because what do athletic trainers do on their free time?
Weddings and sporting events.
Okay, yeah, I was just going to say sporting events, but that works. And we've got some insane hiking stories at the end. And I put them at the end specifically because they're just insane.
Hey, we like to hike.
We do like to hike.
Look, unfortunately, we do not have any hiking stories from our end.
No, that's good because none of them, they couldn't top these ones that are coming.
That's very true.
So, I think we should start with a gem from Jen.
What better way to start?
Do you want to read it?
So, Jen said, so my best friend got married. She's an AT. She married a hazmat trainer / firefighter. Wow, that's pretty cool.
I know.
So the reception was at a hotel, and we had basically taken over the pool area into the wee hours.
Because what else do athletic trainers and other health professionals do?
Exactly. I mean, it's a wedding. When the management came to shut us down, we looked at them and ticked off the people in the pool. AT, EMT, firefighter, EMT, fire chief, fire marshal, EMT, and on and on.
Really, you couldn't be any safer in this crowd.
Safe to say, they let us go. So, as you can imagine, there was a bunch of alcohol flowing. Pair that with a wet pool deck, and one of the guests goes down. I'm the maid of honor at this wedding, so I'm kind of in charge and making sure no one actually dies during the after party. Ooh, that's a big job.
There you go.
What better qualifications for maid of honor than an AT? So here comes this girl with blood running down her face, and she was stumbling. Another friend of the bride, an AT as well, and I got the bleeding under control. Did a quick concussion evaluation and determined she needed stitches for this 3-inch gash on her head.
Oh my gosh.
Let me say, so far this wedding could not be any safer. We used lots of pool towels, then we took her inside and found a first aid kit. We did not tell the front desk folks that she got hurt on the pool deck. It would have been the end of it, for sure.
So not only did they save the patient from this 3-inch gash on her head, but they also saved the party.
Oh, for sure.
Where's the important part?
I was going to say, which one was more important?
Well, I'm glad she's okay.
Yes.
Working, great job, maid of honor.
Yes, I think that's an MVP move right there.
In that situation, is there like a backup maid of honor, like who tends to the bride?
I think
she's a little occupied.
I was gonna say that I think that falls in the order of the bridesmaids to handle that, the order of succession.
All right, we've got actually another wedding story. How did our podcast turn into wedding injuries?
Like I said, what do athletic trainers do? Sports and weddings.
All right, I'll read this one. So this is from Kevin J. He said, just listening to this week's podcast and realized I have a story that fits in well. We love it when this happens.
Oh, it's perfect.
I had just graduated from college and was working as an intern athletic trainer at one of the military service academies. We had a family wedding one weekend, and I was actually able to make the wedding in New Jersey, but had to get up early in the morning and drive back to cover women's basketball practice, so I wasn't drinking. I feel like this is always the case. Like, I have practice.
Yeah, I have practice later.
During the conga line portion of the wedding, my mother manages to fall up a set of stairs and smash her face. Aw.
Falls up a set of stairs. That wording is quite interesting.
It gets better. I get her to the lobby of the catering hall and start my assessment. Needless to say, she ended up with a hairline radial fracture,
Ooh.
a nasal fracture, 2 broken ribs, and a chipped tooth.
Poor thing.
I think it's safe to say I think the stairs won in this case.
Yeah, I don't think she won that battle.
Mom down. Fast forward about 6 or 7 years, and we're at my wedding. The DJ starts playing music for the conga line. Oh, like, repeat. I jump up, grab the microphone, and begin to warn everyone about my mother. I then pull from behind the DJ booth a lacrosse helmet from the college I was working at and mandated that my mother wear it for the rest of the night.
That is so funny.
She complied and started some great conversations whenever someone looks at our wedding
I bet.
album.
That is a great conversation starter.
Oh, yeah, I know. When he said in the story, I just thought it was so great. The whole lacrosse helmet and everything. That's so hilarious.
It wouldn't be a wedding if an athletic trainer didn't bring something from work.
Right? What is it? Something old, something blue, something new, something from work.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
There's like a little rhyme. I definitely botched it up. It's something like that. Something old, something new, something blue, something from work.
This podcast is very educational for me because I learned all these sayings that I did not know about.
Actually, you know what? I think we should, speaking of weddings, we have a wedding impending. Like,
You mean pending because of pandemic?
so you guys know we're married, right? But we've actually been married for a year and
Without having our actual ceremony.
so we secretly eloped like a little bit over a year and a half ago, and we didn't tell anyone until the day that we were supposed to get married. But the day we were supposed to get married was postponed because of the pandemic, and then it's postponed again because of the pandemic, so we're just waiting. So we're like married twice, and we have like 4 wedding anniversaries.
Luckily, we're trying to make the dates easy on me, so hopefully it won't be too bad.
Yeah, well, so weddings have a special place in our heart.
Oh, for sure.
We're just waiting on
Our celebration.
yeah. All right, let's get into some sporting events.
Yes, this one was sent by Jordan R. Parent at a soccer scrimmage was apparently not doing so well in the heat, and I was called over. The wife met me halfway and said he ran and golfed today, so probably pretty dehydrated.
Okay, I just love how this is like a sporting event, but she's not treating an athlete like she's treating
the parent.
Yeah.
When I was interviewing the dad, he was still pretty out of it, laying down, gray, and not sweating anymore. I was packing cold towels behind neck, armpits, and groin and asking about his morning, what he ate, drank, and how much he ran, golfed. If he drank any alcohol at the golf course, which he did.
Of course. What else do you do in
It's not golf without alcohol. He told his wife he just had one, which she relayed to me, and then in front of me with the wife right beside him, but like behind him, so he thought she wasn't that close. He said he had 8.
8 drinks.
So how I love the conversion rate there.
And
1 means 8.
Wait, but he didn't want to tell his wife the truth.
And he didn't want to tell his wife the truth.
Because he was buzzed at his kid's soccer game.
I mean,
I think a little bit more than buzzed with 8 drinks.
in his defense, some youth soccer games are pretty rough to watch.
Yeah, but that's like 8.
Yeah, that is a lot. Considering that golf is, depending on how many holes he either played 9 or he played 18. That's still a lot.
Okay, but you know what's nice about this though? Like, you got to take the moment to appreciate and be grateful that most of the time when we're dealing with injuries, we're not dealing with alcohol in their system. Most of the time.
I would say most of the time. We've had an athlete before. It was when I was a student at a football practice, and I didn't work with the athlete, but one of the other students was, and he threw up blue.
What?
His throw up was blue, right? So now you're trying to think, I don't remember anything from Gen Med that would indicate blue throw up. Turns out, because we practiced later in the day, around lunchtime, they had margaritas at like whatever restaurant they went to.
Oh.
Right before practice, because that was a good idea.
Yeah, that's definitely in all the nutrition handbooks, like the pre-workout. Yeah, definitely margarita is one of the top things.
Oh, for sure. Nothing gets you running faster than tequila.
All right, so now we're going to get into like actual athletic trainers playing sports.
When the athletic trainer becomes the athlete.
Actually, there's still athletic trainers in the story because
they ended up working anyways.
So this is from Bailey W. She said, one time I was playing in an adult ultimate frisbee team when the game stopped due to an opponent getting hurt. It ended up being a clavicle fracture at the SC joint.
Ooh, ouch.
Have you ever seen one of those?
I have not.
I don't think I have either. But my SC joint pops all the time.
Yes, it does.
Also, mine are uneven.
You can see they are. It's very obvious. It's okay. My acromion ends of the clavicle are very pronounced.
Oh, yes. He's got like little hooks.
It basically looks like a grade 2 AC sprain.
Yeah, it totally does. What's going to happen if you ever get an AC sprain? No one's going to know.
It's probably going to be popping out.
So anyway, like, she's playing this game. She's playing in the ultimate frisbee game. And she's like, so I splinted his arm with a jacket and a shirt and helped transport him to the car. But luckily his wife was there and she was able to take him to ER and he ended up having surgery.
Nice. Quick response. I like it.
But here's the thing that I'm wondering about. Like, I always wonder about this. Like, what if she wasn't there? Because, like, that was an opponent from... Like, what if they were playing another team and there was no... Like
That's a good question.
How does the general population deal with...
I feel like they just would have went to the ER. Like, so there would be no splinting or anything. So he would have been sitting there, arm hanging, probably in pain, till he got to the ER.
That sucks. I kind of wonder that a lot.
I mean, it's a good thought. And it shows why athletic trainers need to be everywhere at all times.
We kind of are secretly.
That is true.
I mean, as shown in these 2 episodes.
Yep.
So this next one is from someone I went to school with named Garret.
Garret.
And he actually called us. So we have a recording for you guys to listen to. Let's get into it.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Last Christmas, so 2019, I was playing in a softball tournament with a group of friends of mine that I grew up with and went to high school with. We were playing, it was this big charity softball tournament called Toys for Tots. So everybody had to contribute a toy and pay their fees in order to get into the tournament. So we were probably about our 3rd game into this tournament down in Huntington Beach. And my team's up to hit, right? So I'm sitting in the on-deck circle, getting ready to take my turn to swing. And next thing you know, my teammate, he's a lefty, rips a line drive down the first baseline. Well, their first baseman tries to dive for the ball. So he was a left-handed catcher, right-handed thrower. So he lands on his left shoulder. So we're, telling our guy to go to second base. He gets to second base safely. Well, I see this guy laying on the ground, and he's not getting up. And he did not look good. Before I know it, he's screaming and yelling, ow, 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 my shoulder, my shoulder. And his whole, half his infield ran up to him to talk to him and see what was going on. My own teammate even walked over to go check on him. And he immediately looked down at him and looked up at me. And all I kept thinking was, oh, this is not good.
Oh.
And by this point, I'm thinking, okay, what did he do? What did he do? I don't have anything on me. I'm looking around, trying to remember what street location I'm at. And my teammates are like, hey, Freight, with it being my last name, they're like, hey, Freight, go check out the guy. So I looked at the umpire, make sure it was okay. The scene was safe for me to come out and check on the guy. So I walk up to him, and he's in pain, like agony, rolling on the ground, saying how much it hurts. So I introduced myself and I told him, hey, my name's Garret. I'm a certified athletic trainer, kind of like what we're supposed to do.
Yep.
And, just cordially asked him, hey, is it okay? Do you feel comfortable with me helping you out? He said, yes, please help me. I said, okay, great. I asked him what was going on and tried to get a background information on the injury. And sure enough, he tells me, I have a lot of pain. It's an 8 out of 10. And I felt something pop. So I'm thinking, okay, is it okay if I touch your shoulder? He's like, yeah, sure. And so I touched his shoulder, and immediately I felt the head of the humerus out of place, and it's pushed anteriorly.
Super.
So I'm like, okay, I think it's safe to say that you dislocated your shoulder. And, he was like, yeah, I figured as much. I heard a pop and this, that, and the other. So I said, okay. Obviously, I didn't have a shoulder sling or anything on him. At that point, I immediately thought, okay, we got to get this guy off the field. So I grabbed his arm, and I used his jersey because I didn't have a shoulder sling. So I used his part of his jersey, rolled it up over his elbow, and used that as like a temporary sling to, stabilize him.
That is innovative.
And sure enough, I use it, and I immediately like grabbed his elbow and like his arm just to stabilize. And I asked his teammate if he can help me like get him up to his feet. So he said, okay. So on a count of 3, we worked out a way to get him up on his feet safely. Once we did that, he gets to his feet safely. Things are looking okay. We're starting to walk him to the dugout. Well, sure enough, I turned to him, making sure he's okay, and he like starts retracting his like shoulder and back, and I'm thinking, like, what are you doing? Like, is he uncomfortable? Is something wrong? And he just starts like going, ow, 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 ow. And before I knew it, I just see the head of the humerus go back posteriorly, and then just hear that loud pop. And he just lets out this huge sigh of relief and just goes, oh, I needed that. And I'm freaking out like, what the heck just happened? Like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? He's like, I think my shoulder went back. I'm good. So he starts kind of doing some small like shoulder rotations with it and just making sure he had some mobility. But obviously by this point, adrenaline had kicked in. So he's trying to tell me, I'm fine. I can play. And I'm thinking, no, you cannot. No, sir. And so his buddies are like, dude, just sit in the dugout. Let's just finish the game. This guy gets back up to hit the next inning and swings with one arm.
Oh my God.
And I'm sitting in the outfield going, what are you doing? Like, in total disbelief. He's still got it in the batter's box, try to hit a single towards me, gets on base, and they put another runner in. Long story short, by the end of the game, we congratulated each other. We actually won, by the way. And I came up to him. I said, hey, like, I saw you hit. Like, are you sure you're okay? Like, he's like, no, I'm in a lot of pain right now. It kicked in right after the at-bat. And I'm just thinking to myself, well, yeah, no kidding. Your shoulder just dislocated like a couple innings ago. And he's like, yeah, I think I'm not really sure what to do. What do you think I should do? So I just gave him some general recommendations, hey, let's go get it checked. Let's get some imaging done. There's an urgent care not too far away from here. Maybe I didn't know his insurance or anything, so what he could and couldn't do. So I just told him, hey, let's just go get it checked out, see what's going on, make sure there's nothing serious. But I definitely would recommend to not play for the rest of the day. And then he goes, yeah, you're probably right, because my shoulder's killing me. And I said, that's what I told you from the beginning, but what do I know, right? But yeah, so that was my story.
So another instance where you have to use something to splint the arm that you have.
Yeah.
You didn't have any bandages or anything.
Nope. That's thinking on your feet, ready to go. I mean, that's what we are trained to do.
See, again, what do normal people do in this?
Right? Well, you even at the start, remember that he just kept playing. So if he wasn't there, he probably would have kept going the rest of the day until he was much worse.
Okay, seriously, how insane. That's what adrenaline does to you.
Oh, big time.
Oh, you don't want to... Actually, you want to hear another one where someone just keeps going?
Oh, yes, please. Is
this one's from Yusuke.
I was going to say my guy, Yusuke.
Go for it.
I was playing low-key recreational baseball with my friends, and there was a new guy who just joined us on that day. While we're doing fungo, first he was like, oh, I might have tweaked my calf. But he was still walking around, helping shagging balls for the next 10 to 20 minutes.
Okay, so I just want to point out, because I already know the story, obviously. He just said, oh, I might have just tweaked my calf, and he's still walking around, right? Just keep that in mind.
All
okay,
right.
Go on.
All right, I got that one in the memory bank. And then during the break, I finally checked, and as soon as he went prone, I was like, whoa, that's not good. Just what you want to hear.
Yeah.
Nice, good Thompson, and a visual divot.
Divot.
That is bad. That reminds me of the ruptured Achilles I had to deal with. It was a visible divot. Told him that his Achilles was most likely gone.
I'd say that's a safe bet.
I carry my med kit in my car, so put his leg in the Sam splint. Oh, see, that's an athletic trainer when you have the
Ooh.
med kit in the car.
Okay, I was just about to say, maybe we should put on our Instagram story. Maybe I'll do that later. I want to know how many people keep their, like a kit or something in their car.
Yeah, I don't like keeping my main one in there because I don't want the heat to mess up my
But I mean, like,
stuff.
do you have something in your car?
I have a first aid kit, yeah.
Because I know that, like, when we go on trips, we bring the full thing.
Oh, yeah. For sure when we're doing trips, especially hiking trips.
And when we're going hiking, we do bring... I mean, actually, we don't bring, like, an extensive kit when we're hiking. But, like... Yeah. Pretty simple.
I carry my med kit in my car, so put his leg in the Sam splint, went to the ER. And he was followed up with the ortho the next day. Confirmed complete tear.
Of course. And that's why he was still able to move around.
He said he'd just throw some Tiger Balm or something and go to sleep if I wasn't there to evaluate the injury.
Oh, there we go. I forgot about this. So that's what he would have done if there was no medical professional.
That's how small discomfort he was feeling. Pretty interesting, right? And Yusuke, I would say, yes, very interesting.
It's just like, wow. You know what? I wonder how long it would have also taken him to get it checked out, though.
I feel like he would have... I feel like he would have done it within a few days.
Yeah, because, I mean, I had a performer who, like, fractured her ankle, and she didn't go see... Because it was over the weekend. She didn't see someone... Well, until we told her to go see someone, but she didn't come see us until 2 days later.
And you know what's funny is this just highlights how different response people have to these major injuries. Like, there's some people who tear their ACL and barely know.
Yep.
In this case, this dude ruptured his Achilles. He barely knew, but then other kids are like in tears and like they feel a lot of pain. So,
I mean, this is also a complete tear, so.
Yeah, so it's quite interesting to see the contrast of perception.
I wonder what he was doing that he just like went. Weekend warrior.
All we're missing is the I felt someone kick me.
Here's another Achilles one.
Ooh.
So Ethan A responded to our Instagram story and he said he was also playing basketball. There was someone they were doing minimal warm-ups and one of his friends takes a drive to the basket and injured his Achilles.
Okay.
So of course he has to go into work mode. Full assessment, got him into his car, drove him where luckily he had crutches.
Nice.
Saw him in the clinic the next day and the gas truck had started to retract. Oh my gosh.
Awesome. Good times.
So he pulled some favors, got him into a surgeon, and got him into a cam boot.
Nice.
What's a cam boot?
That's like your walking boot.
Oh, I've never heard of it called that.
Cam Walker.
Oh, is that like a name brand?
I don't think so. I think that's just the name of the boot itself.
Am I living under a rock?
I mean, I could be wrong in my assumption. I may be just generalizing too much, but I'm pretty sure that's just what you would refer to as a boot.
Yeah, I just think it's really funny how many sports injuries we got. I had to put them all together.
I love the minimal warm-ups. That sounds about right.
I know. As soon as he started with that, I was like, oh, something's coming.
Anytime first of all, as athletic trainers, I know in my case, we tell athletes to warm up, but for us, it's like, nah, I'm good.
Oh, like when we go rock climbing,
we just jump into it. There's no dynamic warm-up.
Our friends warm up a little bit. I mean, I try to warm up a little bit, but you do is like zero warm up.
Oh, zero warm-up. I just go.
Hey, we had to respond while we were climbing once.
Oh, yes, we did. That's right. I almost forgot.
So one of our friends, we went to this new climbing gym, and it's like, I don't know if you guys are very familiar with climbing, but the one we do is called bouldering. So it's the one without the rope. And so you don't go that high up, but how high do you think we go up?
Normally it's only, what, like 10, 12 feet?
Yeah, maybe a little bit higher than that. Like, that's like max. And you can jump down from the top and there's like a huge mat.
You know what's funny is I actually thought to get that number for you, I actually thought of lining up 2 6 foot tall people. 6 feet tall people.
Okay, that's what I was thinking too. Yeah. That's so funny.
I was really trying to figure that out.
I feel like it's a little bit taller because you do have, it's like,
yeah, I think you're right.
So anyway, you can jump down from the top safely. I try not to, but anyway, like if you fall from the top, it's usually fine. But we went to this gym where there was like a second room where they were like harder roots. And
not only were they harder,
they were way taller,
And
like
not-
at least by 5 to 6 feet
not
taller.
only were they taller,
The mat was freaking small.
the mat was small, and also
They were freaking slippery.
they were climb over ones too. So when you finished,
yeah.
it was advised that you climb over it and then walk down the backside.
And
of
that's the reason why this happened. So basically, what happened was that was something that our climbing gym we weren't used to. We didn't have the climb over ones. Like we didn't know what that was. So I made it to the top of this really easy one, and I was trying to reach on the top to see if there was because I saw people climbing over on like other routes, and so I was trying to figure out like, oh, can I get over this? And I couldn't find anything. So then I climbed back down and then went up the stairs to get to the top where people like normally climb over. And I was looking and I was like, oh yeah, like, so I was on the top of this, like looking down at the route, right? And Randy, you were there with me, right?
I was there, but I'm afraid of heights, so I wasn't close to the edge.
Yeah. So then our friend is climbing up, and our friend went to, and she did the same route that I just did. And so she's trying to reach, because I was like, oh, there is a hold up here. I just couldn't see it. So it's kind of like a blind grab, which is terrifying. And also this thing is like so high off the ground. So then she's trying to grab it, and Randy and I are on the top. And then all of a sudden, like,
Her hand disappears.
Her hand's gone. So then we're like, oh my, like, we look down and I just see her on the floor. And I'm like, oh, that's not good, because that's a big fall. So then we go down, and, you know, like at that point, I think that's Randy and I have talked about this a lot, because, you know, we're both athletic trainers, and it's kind of like that.
Okay, who wants to take it?
Well, not only who wants to take it, we looked at each other like, well, first of all, and Randy's been certified for like 2.5 years longer than me.
Mm-hmm.
So like a lot of things I defer to him, because I'm like, you've done this, like, you know, and he defers to me because he's like, you need this. Like, I know how to do this. Anyway, so we kind of look at each other like, who's got it? But also like, how far into work mode are we going to go? Because like we had our full med kits. We both came from work. So we're like, okay, like, are we going to do the full like eval, or are we just going to kind of like how into this are we getting? And so Randy ended up taking it. And so then we ended up like getting out some, luckily the climbing gym had ice, and they had their own protocol, which I thought was really ridiculous, kind of, because like they brought this person with a clipboard and they were like asking questions, and and the kid was like, my friend is a physical therapist, the kid who was taking the questions.
Oh, that's good.
And I'm like, okay, but you aren't.
Yeah.
Like,
that's good, buddy.
and he's like asking all these questions, and I know that it's like their protocol, but like I think that he also wasn't really like comfortable with injuries, which I mean, I don't fault him.
And I was gonna say, wouldn't expect someone who's not regularly dealing with injuries to be comfortable.
Yeah. Also, it was just like the whole emotional intelligence thing too. Like, I think I don't remember, it was a while back, but he was asking questions that it's like, dude, do you really have to ask that right now? Can't you see she's in pain?
Oh man, I remember that night.
Yeah. Anyway, she's better now.
Yep, she is. She is.
But that's the thing too, is like they were saying like, oh, we're so glad you guys were there. I mean, I feel like we didn't really do much. We were more like moral.
You know, and that is the funny thing, because knowing our scope of our job and like really what we're all able to do and what we have access to when we're at work, it's true. It kind of felt like all we did was just tell you what to do. That was about it.
Well, and the thing is too, like, we wanted to take them to an urgent care, but it was like right on that cusp of like a lot of the urgent cares were closed or closing because we went at night. And then also it was like they had their insurance card, but
they weren't sure and
where it was going to
be accepted. Mm-hmm. And, you know, instead of going through that battle of, well, now we drive to an urgent care. Oh, they don't take our insurance. We have to go find another one. We decided the safest bet was just, hey, let's just go to the ER.
But you know what? The ER was, I mean, I usually am not a big fan of ER care, but that ER provided like amazing care.
Yeah.
They missed the fracture, but I was very proud of what they were able to give from an emergency department.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it worked out.
And we had these cool visitor passes that they like printed our faces on them.
Oh yeah, because they took our IDs.
And then like later in the morning, the visitor passes like turned pink and had like stripes on them. So it was like,
I forgot about that.
It was like time based, how long the visitor passes.
That was some high tech paper.
They were really cool. Anyway, let's get into the hiking stories.
Ooh, in the outdoors.
So, this one's from Leslie.
Leslie?
Mm-hmm.
Nice, Leslie.
So we'll start off with a simple one. This is just, she was on a hike and an old man fell, getting abrasions on his hands and knee. And this is the best part. She said, my mom literally pushed me to help him.
Thanks,
I feel
Mom.
like that happens a lot.
Yeah, moms usually know what to do.
Well, I feel like as soon as people find out you're an athletic trainer, they're like, oh, you can help.
Oh, go get him.
like Bill on the airplane, they're like,
oh, yeah.
He was like, I'm not going to do anything. She said that she ended up using napkins to help clean him up, and it ended up being okay because he lived around the corner, which is very convenient. And then she also ended with, I think I have a black cloud over my head because people always fall in front of me.
That's good to know.
So
Leslie, I'm going to
don't
remember
hang
this.
out with Leslie.
Yeah. I'm going to remember this next time we see her. I'm just going to fall.
You're not even the injury prone one.
No,
I'm
you know
the
what?
injury
Surprisingly, I am not the injury prone one.
It's a good thing because, Randy, your pain tolerance.
It's not the highest.
All right. Let me pull up this one from Maddy. You guys, I knew the story ahead of time because I had heard it.
I didn't.
Through the grapevine because it's such an amazing story. Like, everyone wanted to share it, right? But it is seriously... I'm so glad she sent it in. That's all I'm going to say. Let's play it.
Hi, everyone. My name is Maddy. So here is my story about injuries outside of the athletic training room. So it's the day before the BOC, and I wanted to do something that would keep me busy because I knew that I didn't have to study anymore, and I just wanted to get out and do something that would take my mind off of the test. So I decided to go on a hike. I wanted to pick kind of a difficult, strenuous one that would take a few hours and keep me busy for the day. So I chose Potato Chip Rock, which is in San Diego. And at the end of it, you can also, there's like a parking lot at the top, so that if you didn't want to do the whole hike, but you wanted the picture on the potato chip outcropping, you could park and walk over and take the picture. So we get to the top and realize that there is a long line to wait in to take a picture. I almost didn't, but I was like, you know what? We just did like 7 miles. I'm going to do it. Let's wait in line. So I'm waiting in line to take the picture. And there's this group of, I would say like teenage boys who are trying to pose for photographs on the potato chip shaped outcropping. And I've never actually been here before, so I don't know what it looks like underneath it, but it looks like when you're looking at it, the rock kind of juts off the cliff, and it looks like this really thin sliver just kind of hanging over into thin air. And so they're taking pictures on this thing, and I don't know what's underneath it. I don't know how far of a drop it is. I assume by what they're doing, I was like, okay, there must be like another outcropping or like a platform under there, because everyone's being pretty risky. And I was like, you wouldn't be that risky if you're just going to fall to your death, obviously. So this kid decides to pretend to do a pull-up, and he gets like, he goes to hang from it and immediately just slips and launches off. And everyone just kind of freezes and stares, and they're like, oh God, what just happened? And we all realize that he just fell, and his friends start freaking out, and it just so happens that there is a firefighter and a nurse present as well. They immediately sprint down there and jump into action, and I was like, okay, well, I am also trained in emergency management. I should go help as well. And I run down there, and I realize that this was probably like a 50-foot drop from the top, and it looks as though he hit the side of the wall before falling to the ground. And we get down there and there's a bunch of people helping, and I realize that no one is securing his head, and he's clearly unconscious but also trying to move and wake up. And I was like, okay, C-spine. I need to help hold C-spine. And I walk up and I introduce myself and say that I'm here to help. And the nurse, the firefighter, and me all just kind of jump into action, and we all go into our own roles. Someone's calling 911, and they had to get, because of the location, they had to get helicopter airlift over, and we probably had to wait for, I don't know, I would say like 45 minutes before the helicopter showed up. And holding C-spine for 45 minutes, I don't know if any of you guys have done that. Not comfortable, but I just let my legs fall asleep and was looking at this kid's face, and I was like, I don't want to risk this kid waking up and hurting his neck for me readjusting my legs. So in the moment, it is always worth it. Also, looking at this kid, luckily he didn't have any like big open fractures that we could see, but it was clear that his jaw had broken, and it was, the best word to describe it is that it was kind of hanging and loose, and that wasn't pretty. And you could tell when what are they called, the pararescue helicopter people showed up, they went to roll him onto the spine board, and you could see that he had like this huge gross deformity in his back and spine, and just reassured me that holding C-spine is so important, because one simple movement can make this person paralyzed. Unfortunately, I do not know the results of what happened. I really wish that I remember the kid's name so that I could look him up and see how he's doing. I hope that he didn't end up paralyzed or worse, but prayers out to him, and I hope he's doing great. And that's my story.
That is crazy. That's, wow.
Okay, not only that did that just happen, but also, like, timing-wise, the day before her BOC.
Well, of course, it had to happen that way.
The day that she was supposed to take a day off studying and not do anything.
Athletic training related?
And not do anything stressful, actually.
I mean, that does show it. Even though, like, we practice it all the time, it almost gets numbing because we practice so much. It is very important while you stabilize C-spine.
And you know what? This is so interesting, too, because we're first responders, but most of our first response happens in a realm that is a little bit more controlled.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like out on a huge fall like that, I mean, the only thing you're really going to see is maybe like from a diver who fell wrong into the pool.
Yeah, right.
Or like maybe someone jumps off the bleachers, but like we don't really have anything that's like, that's something way out of our norm.
And that's why we go over stuff like that, or as close as we can in like emergencies class. You talk about stuff that may not be athletics, but something you may see.
Oh, you know what? Like Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah, exactly.
Or actually, you know what? My athletes too.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
have stunt performers.
I don't.
They have, I mean, I also looked at, I got to see all their, the technicians walked me through all of their, riggings and stuff. It takes like hours before the show just for a like 2 to 3 minute stunt.
Yeah.
It's insane. And they have just the amount of safeties and the amount of checks that they have to do is just wild.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Of course, there's no rigging or anything on Potato Chip Rock. No safety features on that.
It's you should always be safe on your hikes, not do risky things.
We still haven't been to Potato Chip Rock,
No,
which
we
is
haven't.
Hilarious because we've always wanted to go, and then last year we actually lived 13 minutes from this hike, and we still haven't gone. But you know what? It's also always so busy.
Yep.
And so that's also a factor too. And the fact that we only saw each other like 1 or 2 times a week last year.
Lots of work.
That was, yeah. It was crazy. Okay, we've got a few more hiking ones. This one's from Christian A.
So Christian said, just recently, someone totally wrecked their ankle, ATFL, CFL, and version sprain while near the summit of a 14er, which is a 14,000 foot summit. And I had an ace wrap and told them about some options they could do to get down. Good thing they listened because they were panicking and wanted a helicopter, even though they could walk. Let me tell you, if you got a helicopter for that, that would be the most expensive request ever.
Yes. I mean, like, I guess if you have the money.
Yeah, if you really wanted to ride in that helicopter.
I'm not even going to start my whole soapbox on accessible healthcare. I'm not even going to go there, but...
Are you sure we can do this?
So let's go into the options.
So that's a no.
So luckily, Christian did some patient education.
Yes, and that is very important. So to help with the perception of what's happening.
He gave him some options. He said, besides a helicopter, I said they could go down slowly holding on to someone, use a member in their group's walking poles, or just support their ankle with an ace wrap. They realized the helicopter was maybe overdramatic and decided to take the wrap and poles to get down.
Maybe overdramatic. Not confirmed overdramatic. It's a maybe. It was really close.
You know what? I feel like this episode is really good at pointing out, like, what would the Gen Pop do if someone wasn't there to help them?
They would have got a helicopter.
Yeah. Do you think the helicopter would have responded to that?
I feel like they'd have to. Like,
I guess they don't know the extent.
Yeah.
They only know the extent of what people are telling them.
Yeah.
If they're telling them I can't walk
and I
have a mile and a half to get back down.
Could you imagine the disappointment when the helicopter gets there and like, really? I mean, the helicopter flew all that way. They're going to have to take them. I mean.
You know what? I always have this fear, like if we're far into a hike and it's just you and me, I'm like, shoot, like you better not get hurt because...
Also, who would we, like, in some of those hikes, there's no cell signal.
I know. I think about that a lot. We haven't been on a hike in a while.
Yeah, it's been a bit.
So this one is from Rodney, good old Rodney, and he is...
Rodney!
This is a trip to Israel. So not only is this a hike, but this is also out of the country.
Ooh, interesting.
So that also poses some... challenges. And he's not working, right? This is...
It's supposed to be some time off.
Yeah. He said, my mom and I decided to walk about this trail and walked up on this lady lying on her side and her friend bending down talking to her. That's never a good scene.
Yeah.
They were there by themselves where no one could see them. When I realized the head of the humerus was fractured...
Super.
I helped stabilize the shoulder and walked them back to the bus. Luckily, they did speak English, which I was like, man, what?
Yeah, right.
Like, imagine you're in a different country, someone gets hurt. Like, how often do you know the emergency line in another country?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I don't think I could answer that. And
communication, not only like, are you just trying to converse normally, but probably a little bit of more of a panicked conversation.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, luckily they did speak English, and come to find out they were actually from Texas.
Oh, nice.
Which is where he is from too.
Yeah.
So, tourists for the win, I guess. They went to seek medical treatment, but due to COVID... Oh my gosh, this was in March. So COVID had
this is a pretty recent story.
Apparently, the ER in Israel did not want to treat her. Because she was from out of the country, they were afraid of contamination. I never knew what happened after that.
Oh, interesting.
And he was saying that she might have had to fly home with a broken arm.
Ooh, that is... Oh, poor thing. That had to have been uncomfortable.
And, I mean, I don't even know how long she was supposed to be there, so just imagine.
They had to... Yeah, I wonder if they cut the trip short if that was the case.
Just insane. Like, that sucks.
Oh, yeah, especially if it was... What if it was the beginning of their vacation? And they were supposed to be like, I don't know, like a week. That would be such a bummer.
Yeah, really. I feel like I've heard... Oh, you know what? This is why this reminds me of Hailey's story that we have next.
Nice.
So... this is one of the first stories. So Hailey was my first preceptor. This is one of the first stories that she told me because...
And I feel like it was the inspiration for these episodes too.
Yeah, really. So she and her husband Scott were hiking in Kauai before a wedding, and we witnessed a hiker slip/fall in front of us on the clay mud trail. And it was raining. So she said they sloshed our way over to him. And the guy looked up and simply said, "It's broken." Which, you know, when the patient...
Yes.
when the patient knows. So anyway, her and her husband jumped in action. She said, as Scott looked for branches to make a field splint to go with the ace wrap we had already packed. See, they're prepared.
Exactly, ready to go.
I introduced myself and started to evaluate the lower leg. He was wearing those toe shoes covered in muddy clay, so that's not helpful.
Yeah, no, not at all.
And by the way, it was a closed tib-fib fracture.
Ooh, at least it was closed.
So not only, yeah, I know, seriously, and mud and rain,
Yeah.
like that would have made things complicated. Oh, this one was 1.5 miles into the hike.
Oh man, that's quite a way, especially with that serious of a fracture.
Yeah. So, they helped make a field splint with some of the sticks that Scott gathered in the ace bandage, and they waved down a tourist helicopter.
What are the odds? That's crazy.
They said they were actually nearby a helicopter pad.
Oh,
luckily.
that's awesome.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah.
Like, what are the chances of that? And they made the local newspaper with this story.
Wow, stars.
I know. So
look at them.
They actually have the article, and it's going to be in our Facebook page. So,
oh, sweet.
Mm-hmm. And there's another part that I thought was super cool. So for Christmas that year, we received a box from the family that we helped. Turns out he was an artist who lived in NorCal.
Nice. What are the odds?
He wrote us a thoughtful letter explaining the hanging metallic and nature art piece he made for us, containing shells and stones from beaches he walked on a child as an adult. Then in the center was one piece of wood, which was half of the field splint. He designed 2 of them so we would each have one hanging in our homes, reminding us of that unique day.
That's so cool.
And I've seen it in their house when I went over, and it is really cool. So she actually sent me a picture, and we're going to put that in our Facebook group too. It's just crazy.
Nice.
I know. So like really Hailey's sports medicine background coming in with this patient who has an artist background, and those just kind of like meshing together.
Yeah.
Super, super cool.
That's pretty awesome that he reached out and like got that, like made something for them.
So, sorry, I went on starting a sentence and didn't finish it. So Rodney's story, we were talking about how it reminded me of Hailey's story because it was a tourist vacation basically cut short. This hiking trip was actually on the guy who broke his ankle. It was on their 12th wedding anniversary.
Oh, no.
I know.
That's such a bummer.
I know. But I mean, I'm glad that Scott and Hailey were there.
Yeah, for sure. I bet he's glad.
Yeah, he is glad.
But I'm sure the significant other, now that he's okay, is giving him a hard time. Like, we had a vacation for our anniversary was cut short.
Well, it might not have been cut short. They just probably had to spend more time on the beach than in the heights.
The actual relaxing than the adventuring.
Yep. So, yeah, that's the end of our off-the-clock stories. If you guys have any more off-the-clock stories, share them in our Facebook group. We totally want to hear them.
I'm sure there's enough out there to make another episode another day.
Yes. You can either comment on our episode thread, or you can just make another post. Like, totally, we would be down for that. So,
you guys are the artists, we're the canvas.
There you go.
Yep, I thought that was good. I was pretty happy with that one.
If you guys are not part of our Facebook group, then head over to facebook.com/group/AT-Corner-podcast to join our AT Corner community. There's only one membership question to get in, and it is, where do you hear about our podcast? And that's just so we can figure out where you guys have
that
heard
seems
about.
tough. That seems like a tough one.
You've heard about it. It shouldn't take you too long. There are some other announcements we want to make. So this episode was stories. Next episode is education, and we have an amazing interview with Allison next week.
Yeah, that was an awesome phone call.
So Allison, she originally we were going to have her on with our healthcare team episode because she has literally worked with so many members of the healthcare team, and we still have so many more members of the healthcare team that we haven't even named yet. So anyway, we were kind of diving into that, and then we also found out that she did an athletic training residency, which I feel like I don't know too many people who have done that.
No, I learned a lot from that conversation.
So we sat down with her and kind of talked about both the healthcare team and her experience in residency. And she didn't do a residency right out of school, so it's really cool to get her take on that and her husband is also a healthcare professional, so it just comes full circle.
We covered a lot of topics.
It was such a broad interview. Like, I honestly do not know what I'm going to title it yet.
Might just leave it as Allison.
Seriously. So, honestly, look out for that. That will be coming next week. And then some of our upcoming stories are going to be emergency situations, first time as a certified, and then for December, we're going to be doing favorite gifts or ways you've been thanked as an AT, because this is a pretty thankless profession. We want to put together some ways that you guys have been recognized, and it could be tangible or not. Cool. Oh, and then you can send those over to atcornerds@gmail.com. That is our email.
Nice.
And then last announcement, we have I don't know if you guys have heard, but I'm going to explain it for those of you who are not athletic trainers. So if you are an athletic trainer, just bear with me. With athletic training is a healthcare profession. So we have, in all of our states, except for California, we have some sort of regulation, as we should.
Yes. I'm glad you're bringing this up because I totally forgot.
So in Colorado is going through a sunset process right now, which basically means that their regulation is up for renewal, or like people are looking at it to see if it's still necessary. Now, I want to point out that sunset reviews happen all the time, but there has never been a sunset where regulation has been overturned. And right now, Colorado is at risk of overturning their regulation, which is a step backwards. So we have a Google form that we're going to post probably on our Facebook group, and then also in our show notes and description below. We want you guys you don't have to be an athletic trainer, just sign the form. It basically says, like, I believe in Colorado regulation of athletic trainers. So, and basically, if you don't know what that means, it basically means that there is a board that if an athletic trainer does something wrong, then there's someone who can do something about it.
Also, it prevents people from calling themselves athletic trainers in that state, so it protects the public in that manner as well.
Yeah, so in California, we don't have any regulations, so someone who commits negligence or something in Colorado that makes them not able to practice in Colorado, they can come to California and practice legally. So, and we're going to do a whole episode on what's going on in California as well, coming up early next year. So, but right now we're focusing on Colorado. So you guys make sure to look out for that. And then.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, we support all the Colorado athletic trainers out there. We know it's an uncertain time as far as when you have your licensure looked at and what's going to happen in the future. Coming from some of us in a state where we're still fighting just to have basic protections like you guys. So
yeah, we don't have title protection. We don't have any sort of regulation, which title protection is not enough. But
so we definitely support you guys out in Colorado, and we'll do whatever we can to help.
Cool. And guys, if you enjoyed this episode, please share with your friends. Don't forget to rate us if you listen on Apple Podcasts, or you can leave a review and we'll share some of our reviews on the podcast as well. So, you got anything else to add, Randy?
Nope, that was perfect. Thank you for helping us showcase athletic training behind the tape. Bye.